Hi and welcome to A Better Place. Today we will be bringing you part 2 on our topic of relationships with the Baptists. Hi and welcome back to A Better Place. So Mr. Baptist, Mrs. Baptist, welcome back to A Better Place. Today on our program we will be discussing your roles. Mr. Baptist having been, or for me, still a pastor, and Elencia, you being a social worker, and how you have seen relationships or how you've counseled persons in relationships in those two functions. So we'll start with you, Elencia. In our first program together, you said that in your role as a counselor, you have managed to listen, observe certain relationships, and that has also helped you to build your relationship. How is it in your role and counseling others when it comes to relationships?
I think, of course, you use a lot of the concepts that are there that you've been taught in your training. You use those concepts, but I always think that the best education and the best way of imparting knowledge to people is through your own experiences, right? I think as a counselor, and one of the things that I recognized in what I do is that sometimes our miseducation about relationship is what sometimes takes us in a direction where we are at in our relationship, right? Also, I think besides that, or in addition to that, I think you have knowledge in terms of book knowledge, because there's a lot of information around. You go on, you could Google anything about relationship these days, and you want bam, one time perfect, right? Not understanding that it's a process. And then besides that, you think now based on your socialization, because how you have been nurtured, how you have been trained, that is also how you gain information, you gain knowledge, and now you try to marry the two. And that's sometimes where the conflict comes about, because I'm like, okay, I've done this way, I've seen people do it this way, and then you have to do it this way. So it becomes a challenge in bringing the two together. So I think helping people to walk that road, it's not an easy road. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of, again, self-sacrifice, something that a lot of us don't have these days. Self-sacrifice, putting my wants and not needs a little on the side, and really focus on the journey of a relationship. A relationship is not now, here, perfect. It's a journey, everyday journey, learning the person, learning.
You mentioned something about, the way that we have been taught. Now, if I expound a bit on that, it is, known that our parents teach us one way, or society, looks at relationship from a certain aspect. I can talk from my experience that it's not like that, and I think Mr. Baptist mentioned that everybody's an individual, and then you experience things differently as well. So how do we go about changing that mindset, that not because society sees it this way, that that's the way it's going to be and that's the way it has to be, because that isn't reality.
Correct. I think also you knowing you, understanding who you are as an individual is very important. Also understanding the person that you're in a relationship is very important, and understanding what you all want out of this relationship. Because many times we go into a relationship with a perspective that this is what I want, right? Not really having that open conversation in understanding what the other person wants. And sometimes us as women can be very dominating when it comes to that, right? this is what I want. This is how I want my family to look like. This is what I want my house to look like. This is what I want the man that I married to walk down the road. We dress the children, we dress the man, we dress everything. You understand? So we want to do all of that as women. And I think sometimes we have to take a step back, right? Listen. Just listen. Because the men don't talk a lot, right? But they talk indirectly. So they talk with a lot of action. Men are very action people. They don't talk a lot verbally. And I think we have to pay attention to a lot of the cues the men give us, right? We are very busy dressing everybody, so we don't have time to observe and listen and pay attention. I think that is something that we as women have to learn to do. Pay attention. Pay attention.
It's about this.
I think Elincia said so much. I don't even know where to jump in, actually. I think at each different point there was something to speak to or speak about, to address. But let me put it this way, that I firmly believe that we need to do a lot of undoing of our views of relationship, our understanding of relationship. For me in particular, I learned about relationship in the community, watching the men playing domino and talking about women, whether they were trash talking or whatever it is. But that's where most of us would have been initiated into not only our manhood, but even into relationship, in terms of the man, for example, the man must always lie to a woman. You know, these are things that we would have been cultured into, nurtured into, exposed into. And I think, and for me in particular, you know, I had to do a lot of undoing, which I'm still doing, you know, in terms of being reoriented, in terms of being radically re-socialized in my view of women on a whole. For example, trying to see the woman not as an object, but as a sister. And you constantly have to be telling yourself, hey, that's your sister. You know, bringing in or introducing African concepts and all of these different things was still crucial for me, you know. So I think as men, the truth is, boy, we need to go through a reorientation. I mean, radical one. If we are really going to really have healthy homes and families. That would be my submission. Given all that Elincia said, I'll just put the icing in there at that part, where men are concerned.
Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to interact a little bit with the audience and see what their questions are, maybe even their ideas are based on what you just said, because I like that, what you just said in terms of men having to, what's the word? Reorientate themselves. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place. In this segment, we'll be taking some questions from the audience.
I think presently we are looking at social development, and in particular St. Martin, and the program A Better Place. I think the intention is to make St. Martin a better place. The topic today is relative to the social development of our people, and I would like to ask you a question directly. We have the youth of today. They are not like our grandparents. They have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 9, 10 partners. It has an effect on society. Most young people have several children and they don't even have a job. We tend to realize that based on the 22 years that you have been together, you have 3 girl children that you are taking care of in the right manner. How is it possible for young kids today with children in different homes, you think, is able to take care of that? And what suggestion you have for society on how you think they should go about taking care of not just the sex, but relationship, marriage?
Okay. Of course, that's a loaded question, as you noted. Well, first of all, historically, I don't think we should say that our children are different from those of the past, in that if you remember that there were many men in community who had 20, 30, even 40 children. So I think history repeats itself in every age, in every generation. I honestly believe, however, that while the thinking, most people would say that the problem is more with the male than with the female. Of course, that is somewhat changing based on statistics, etc. However, in my mind, I believe, to answer your question directly, one, I think we need to recognize that there is an issue, that there is a problem. And I think if we can get the young men, young people in general, to begin to reflect on that sometimes our behaviors do not advance family, do not advance healthy families. And present practices can, of course, lead to the demise, pain, suffering, etc. And I think we need to begin to see that. And how do we get our men, women to see that practices we do are not always the best practices for home and family, etc. So that would be one. Helping society to see that present practices are not beneficial. Secondly, again, re-educating. What now are the better practices that we can probably even take from days before, or from our parents, for parents, that would be beneficial? I think we need to be deliberate in doing that. So what are the better methods, methodologies, etc., that we can utilize in our home environment, society, etc.? 3, I think we need to also get it in our education system. I know in some African territories, you look at home and family development at the closure of high school. I think if we take an approach, institutions in general, really trying to help society, young people in general, to have a different view of, I think that will go a long way. There is no magic in this. There is no hocus pocus. You know, we can't just wish to have the best relationship. We just can't wish by the snap of a finger to have wholesome families. It takes hard work. And I think if we are willing to do that, I think that can go a long way. I'll pause on that, but I think because of this question, it's a loaded one, you know. But I'll pause on that for now. I hope in some small way I would have answered your question in some small way.
Elin, is there anything you would like to add to what Dennis just said?
Yes, I think I'll sum it up very shortly in addition to what Dennis said. I think from a sociological perspective, you need to have a vision for your society. How do you want to chart or shape your society to look like? And I think right now in St. Martin, we are at the stage where we don't have a vision for what we want our social society to look like. In the past, regardless of how the social structure was, there was a vision for the society that we wanted. Now we take in all kinds of perspectives and we don't have a direction where we're going. And from my humble opinion, I think we need to have, what is it do we want? Sociologically, what do we want our families on St. Martin to look like? What do we want for our families, right? And I think from that perspective, then you begin to put certain things in place to shape the kind of families that you want. Say one, say two, in the past you had more a Christian value system. We are now moving away from that Christian value system, and we are importing all sorts of other value systems, and we don't know where we're going, if I may say so.
Well, if I were to consider the response from both of you, I think you all have summed it up, that many is not doing a good job, but you all chose to do a good job, and that is the point I wanted to make. Because you are telling me what should be done, what can be done, what's difficult to be done, but you all did it. You all are together for 22 years, and that is what I want people to reflect and see.
Correct.
It's better to be on that side of the fence.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you.
see we have a question now from Miss Georgia.
Yes, we spoke about trust and transparency. Now, in a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship, what does privacy looks like, and what is privacy in a healthy marriage?
You want to take that?
Okay, I believe that sometimes I think I'm a little strange the way I think, but I think in a relationship there should be nothing called privacy, if I may look at it that way. You're supposed to have an open relationship, right? If I have a bank account, you need, they always say, the old people used to say, your right hand shouldn't know what your left hand doing, right? It's a philosophy that I don't necessarily ascribe to, because if you're in a relationship with somebody, this is the person you wake up to every day. This is the person you go to sleep to next to every day.
You trust yourself with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You trust everything that you have with this individual.
Yeah.
I don't see why I should be hiding things in the cupboard from you, or you should be hiding things in the cupboard from me. We need to be out there together. You put it out there. Whether you like it or not, you put it out there. You understand? And that's my philosophy, and I think that's our philosophy. Because sometimes when you listen to people, oh, it's my car, it's my house, and it's my. And I said, but okay, but you're supposed to be in a relationship together, right? I'm going to have my bank account, although some women may not necessarily agree with me, because they obviously got chuck away something for in case of anything. Yeah. But the very fact that you're chucking away in case of anything, you're already setting yourself up for failure. You understand? So by virtue of that, that's how we tend to look at life from that perspective. And also something that we do, we also speak about the eventuality of something happening. What do we do? You know, God forbid, not necessarily death, but hey, if you may say that you no longer want to be with me, or I no longer want to be with you, I think we need to be adult in this whole thing too, right? We are not children, we are adults. And if we find that this is no longer for us, then I think we need to have mutual respect for each other, right? And both of us work hard for what we have. I didn't work harder than you, and you didn't work harder than me. It was an equal thing we brought to the table, right? So let's deal with it equally too. You know,
just to add though, just to say that there are different levels of varying levels of privacy as well. I'm not sure exactly what you're speaking to. So I no doubt would concur with what Lintia said in terms of the openness, whether it's bank account, whatever it is. You know, because her money, my money, if she doesn't have and I don't have, you know, we both suffer together, we are in it together. And I think that's the approach we take, which is working actually for us. But as I said, there are varying levels, because she needs her space as well, and I would need my space for whatever reason. I don't know if it's in that level you're speaking of it. Because of course she needs to still work on herself, get to know herself, do the things that she wants to do, so that she's not consumed in my identity, nor am I consuming her identity. So there's that space. I don't know if it's in that sense you're speaking of privacy as well. But I think there needs to be a respect of space as well at different junctures in the relationship.
Okay, thank you for your response, both of you. But you spoke very lengthily about bank accounts, and coming from an event just Friday evening where Mr. Stéphane Leboisier, who's here with us, he's a life and relationship coach, and he spoke also about accounts, and he mentioned that it is wise, let's say, if you have a separate account, not a secret account, he made that very clear, but a separate account just in case something should happen for whatever reasons, and your account fail, and if your account failed, then her account would fail too, because it's a joint account. Then there is something that both of you can fall back on that will not suffer the loss of the joint account.
Right.
Yeah. Now my
And we support that. Yeah, we
Okay.
support that.
Well,
for
my my question about privacy is not really based on that, but for example, let's say work. Let's say you have a job that requires a level of privacy or secrecy.
Yeah.
Do you still share? What if a friend comes to you in confidant, you know, asking your advice or share something with you? Do you share that with your partner
You
for the sake
can't.
of
You can't.
transparency,
Yeah.
or that's where the privacy line is
Yeah.
being drawn?
Yeah.
You can.
Mr. Baptist, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, I'm gonna let you answer George's question.
So,
Okay? Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Bob, I see you got a new couch. Now you don't have anything else to worry about. Uh-oh, but don't worry about it. With your Be Sure home insurance, the contents of your home are all covered for free.
Are you be sure? Be sure.
Yeah, for free.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place. So, Mr. and Mrs. Baptist, Georgia posed a question concerning how you manage your roles in your profession in terms of privacy.
Okay, as a social worker, as a professional person, there's a code of ethics, a code of conduct by which you adhere to, right? And based on that code of conduct, confidentiality takes precedence in everything that you do. So in dealing with the clients that you deal with, I cannot come home and give or pass on the information that a client came to me with. I cannot come home and give that information to him. Likewise, him as a pastor, a parishioner coming to him, somebody coming to him, speaking to him about a personal issue, he cannot come home and share that with me either. That you're breaking, one, your professional code of conduct, and two, you're breaking the personal trust that you had with that individual. So that is the aspect of privacy that you would adhere to within your relationship. And I think that comes about because you respect and you understand the professional person that you're married to.
Just to add, except if the person says that she wants to shoot Elencia.
Exactly.
That's meant for a light moment of
Or even harm themselves. You can't, that's the only time there's
Breach,
certain
break.
parts of the confidentiality you're allowed to breach because of certain things. And harming oneself and harming somebody else is one part of the code of conduct that you are allowed to breach.
Yeah.
So therefore, yeah.
I see we have a question from Sammy.
Hello. My question is about sex in the marriage and when it should be used. Do you need me to elaborate? a
Yes,
little bit
please.
more? Like, if it's sex before marriage is forbidden, and in the marriage when it should it be used as in the sense of making up and them kind of things like that, and how important it is in a relationship.
Yeah.
I think I could start there. I think personally I would not encourage anyone to have sexual relationship outside of marriage, because I mean I'm speaking within my own personal
Christian
value
conviction,
system,
yeah.
my Christian conviction. I would not encourage that. However, in a marital relationship, I think we have come to the point in, especially as Caribbean people, where sex is not so much the thing that you do, it's like an obligation kind of thing, but sex is part of your relationship that's supposed to be enjoyed, right? It's not there to make up or break up, it's there to enjoy, right? It's supposed to be a primary part of your relationship and not on the back burner. When you want to take it up, you use it and you use it as a weapon or tool.
My question is, concerning what Mr. Baptist said early on, how would you influence young males on what he said earlier on about males treating females as sisters instead of how younger males would treat us now as slaves? Objects.
Yeah, that's easier said than done. I'm aware of that. I think it is, again, Christian conviction as well, but also in terms of our own culture, is to begin, in my mind, to see the woman, because I'm speaking in a position of the male, of course, as a sister, in terms of one who shares a similar experience to your own sister at home, or a blood relative, even though, of course, that's not the case. One who recognizes the intelligence of the individual as well, of the woman, where one does not objectify, in other words, just looking at what she can offer, whether sexually or otherwise, in terms of being a taker, seeing the person as an equal, despite what society may say behind every good man is a good woman. We don't adhere to those values or views at all. We believe in mutuality. We believe that each of us, we have something to offer.
Well, I want to thank you so much. You know, we've run out of time, so I think I might have to bring you guys back for another interview. Let's see if I can convince Dennis to do that. But we've run out of time, and you know, I want to thank you once again. You've brought a wealth of information. You know, you shared your life stories, your journey, you know, also your professional side, and I want to thank you so much for being here.
You're most welcome.
Thank you for having us.
And to you, the viewing audience, and my live audience, I want to thank you so much for having been a part of A Better Place. Stay tuned for our next programs.